Good morning, everyone. Please take your seats as the IMT School Welcome Day is about to begin. Thank you for coming to the 2018 Welcome Day for the newest class of IMT School PhD students. We now invite to the podium the president of the Lucca Foundation for Higher Education and Research, Marcello Bertocchini.
Good morning. Carissimi allieve ed allievi, in qualità di Presidente della Fondazione Lucchese per l'Alta Formazione e la Ricerca, sono felice di potervi dare il benvenuto in questo Welcome Day del 34esimo ciclo di dottorato. La fondazione che qui rappresento nacque per accompagnare il percorso di creazione e sostegno alla Scuola di Formazione Dottorale IMT Alti Studi Lucca. La Fondazione Cassa di Risparmio di Lucca, la Fondazione Banca del Monte di Lucca, il Comune di Lucca, la Provincia di Lucca, la Camera di Commercio e l'Associazione Industriali si riunirono intorno a un'idea con l'obiettivo di garantire i finanziamenti locali e gli investimenti logistici necessari per attivare prima e consolidare poi la scuola. Ne nacque una forma innovativa di governance, definita dallo stesso Ministero decisiva per la vita della scuola, che vede tuttora impegnati, anche se in uno scenario profondamente mutato, consiglieri del direttivo di IMT di diretta emanazione della Fondazione. Oggi buona parte del sostegno finanziario locale è garantito dalla Fondazione Cassa di Risparmio di Lucca. 3 furono le ragioni di questo decisivo impegno locale.
Dear students, as president of the Lucca Foundation for Higher Education and Research, I am happy to welcome the 34th cycle of PhD students. The foundation that I represent here today was created to assist in the groundwork and development of the IMT school. The Cassa di Risparmio and the Banca del Monte Lucca Bank Foundations, the City of Lucca, the Province of Lucca, the Lucca Chamber of Commerce, and the Industry Association united around an idea, with the aim of guaranteeing the local financing and strategic logistical investments to create and then consolidate the school. From this, the school's innovative governance was born, which the Ministry of Education defined as decisive for the life of the school, that still includes, albeit with a profoundly changed scenario, members of the Executive Council of direct emanation from the Foundation. Today, the majority of the local financing of the school is guaranteed by the Foundation, which is motivated by the following 3 reasons.
Appunto, dicevo, 3 erano le ragioni di questo decisivo impegno locale. La prima, riprendere il filo della storia che, seppur interrotto, legò la città di Lucca allo studio e alla ricerca universitaria. Questo luogo speciale in cui siamo, un ex convento francescano, che vi ospiterà con aule, laboratori e servizi, frutto di restauro funzionale finanziato e diretto dalla Fondazione Cassa di Risparmio, fu dal basso medioevo sede di uno studium molto conosciuto per gli studi in ambiti come la teologia, la retorica e le arti mediche e farmaceutiche. La storia ritorna. Abbiamo detto più volte in fase di restauro del complesso e posso dire che in effetti è stato così.
The first of the 3 reasons, to continue the tradition that, despite being interrupted for a time, bound the city of Lucca to university studies and research. This special place, with its classrooms, laboratories, and facilities, is an ex-Franciscan convent whose restoration was financed and overseen by the Foundation. It can be dated to the Middle Ages and was the location of a studium, a well-known for its research in the areas of theology, rhetoric, medical and pharmaceutical arts. History returns is a phrase that was said multiple times during the Restoration, and it in fact came true.
La seconda, la convinzione che qui potesse nascere un luogo del sapere e dei saperi applicati, una naturale espressione del ricco tessuto produttivo della città, del fertile mondo culturale ed artistico e della città stessa, col suo patrimonio unico ed originale fatto di cultura, arte e tradizione. Un luogo da cui si innescasse una relazione virtuosa tra studio, ricerca da un lato ed economia e governo della città dall'altro, senza per questo intaccare minimamente il principio, a noi stessi ben caro e presente, dell'autonomia dell'istituzione universitaria e della libertà della ricerca.
The second reason, the conviction that a place of knowledge could be born in Lucca, the natural expression of the rich productive fabric of the city and its fertile cultural and artistic tradition, a place from which a virtuous relationship between education, research on one hand, and economics and government of the city, on the other hand, formed without hindering the autonomy of the university institution and the liberty of research, a principle that is very important to us.
La terza, la consapevolezza che il progressivo e sicuramente faticoso cammino intrapreso per raggiungere questi obiettivi avrebbero conferito alla città di Lucca e al suo territorio una nuova rinomanza mondiale che si sarebbe affiancata alla fama delle sue mura e delle sue chiese, al ben conosciuto senso civico dei suoi cittadini, alle eccellenze della sua manifattura, cartaria, nautica, lapidea, tecnologica ed alimentare.
The third, the knowledge that the progressive and of course difficult path undertaken to reach these objectives would have conferred upon Lucca and its territory a new worldwide fame, along with that of its walls and churches, the well-known sense of civic duty of its residents, and the excellence of its manufacturing industries, which include paper, nautical, stone, technology, and food sectors.
Darvi oggi qui il benvenuto è anche l'occasione per ricordare queste premesse e fare una breve sintesi della situazione. La città è oggi molto cambiata, anche grazie all'arrivo di MT. La collaborazione fattiva tra Fondazione Lucchese dell'Alta Formazione e la Ricerca, Fondazione Cassa di Risparmio di Lucca, il Comune, la Soprintendenza, non ha soltanto garantito gli spazi necessari alla vita della scuola, ha restituito alla vita della città una zona fino a poco tempo fa considerata quasi una periferia dentro le mura, ha recuperato valori architettonici ed artistici, ha trasformato un'intera area della città recuperandola a attività sociali ed economiche. Tutto ciò non è patrimonio della scuola, è patrimonio della città in quanto città sede della scuola. La stessa scuola è molto cambiata, è cresciuta significativamente, è più forte ed ha ottenuto riconoscimenti ministeriali importanti sia sul piano finanziario che su quello della valutazione della qualità didattica e della ricerca. Gli ambiti scientifici sono anch'essi cambiati, come è naturale in un'esperienza come questa di nuova concezione dove prevale l'interrelazione tra saperi e metodi.
In addition to my welcome, I would also like to state these brief premises and quickly summarize the current situation. The city has undergone great change, which can also be in part attributed to the arrival of the IMT school. The fruitful collaboration between the Foundation for Higher Education and Research and the Cassa di Risparmio Bank Foundation, the City of Lucca, and the superintendents has not only guaranteed the necessary spaces for the school, but has also brought life and economic vitality back to an area of the center that was once almost considered part of the periphery, despite being within the walls. This is not the school's patrimony, but rather that of the city as the home to the school. The school itself has also changed. It has grown significantly. It has received important acknowledgments from the ministry, both in terms of its financing and in terms of the quality of its educational program and research. The scientific sectors of the school have changed as well, as is only natural in an environment in which the interrelation between knowledge and methods prevails.
Mi preme sottolineare che l'idea cardine che animò le scelte didattiche della scuola fu da subito l'interrelazione, l'integrazione di conoscenze quale strumento per maneggiare la complessità. Credo che questa idea sia ancora attuale, da perseguire con determinazione e condivisa da tutte le diverse anime della scuola. Proprio l'anno scorso, in questa stessa occasione, mi soffermai su due valori che mi sembra opportuno riprendere oggi: l'identità e la coesione.
It is important for me to underline that the cardinal idea behind the educational choices of the school was from the outset the interrelationship and the integration of knowledge as an instrument for managing complexity. I believe that this idea is still current, to be pursued with determination and shared by all of the various areas of the school. Last year, at the same occasion, I focused on two values that I think are appropriate to underline again today: identity and cohesion.
Identità. Da intendersi quale significato profondo di appartenenza ad un luogo e ad una missione secondo un sentimento, oggi talvolta dimenticato, di servizio e di disponibilità, riconoscere il profondo valore civile, sociale e morale che deve ispirare tutti coloro che lavorano per la diffusione della conoscenza. La coesione, da intendersi come progressivo e costante impegno all'unità, come sforzo di fronte alle difficoltà orientato a riconoscere nell'unità della scuola il valore entro cui mettere in gioco le proprie ambizioni personali ed esercitare in modo trasparente e costruttivo le proprie facoltà critiche. Il fattore comune e non le singolarità devono avere il sopravvento nelle organizzazioni, a maggior ragione quando l'obiettivo è la conoscenza. A questa responsabilità della quale dobbiamo farci carico siamo tutti chiamati.
Identity, to be understood as a profound sense of belonging to a place and to a mission in accordance with a sentiment, today sometimes forgotten, of service and availability to recognize the profound civil, social, and moral valor that must inspire all of those who work towards the diffusion of knowledge. Cohesion, to be understood as a progressive and constant move towards unity, as a challenge when faced with the difficulties aimed at recognizing in the unity of the school the value in which one's own personal ambitions can be put into play and carry out transparently and constructively one's own critical faculties. The common factor, not the singularities, must take prominence within organizations, especially when the objective is knowledge. We are all called to take on this responsibility.
Mi sento in dovere di ripetere anche la stessa riflessione che un anno fa proposi parlando della Fondazione Lucchese Alta Formazione e Ricerca, che sento oggi ancora più attuale di allora. La Fondazione deve assumere il ruolo di garante delle motivazioni profonde che condussero un'intera comunità a fondare la scuola e dei valori fondamentali appena enunciati. Su questo intendo adoperarmi personalmente. La cerimonia di oggi, così importante per la vostra vita e per l'intera città di Lucca, si ripete da 13 anni. A centinaia di studenti abbiamo rivolto il nostro saluto e offerto la nostra ospitalità. Molti degli studenti che vi hanno preceduto oggi ricoprono ruoli importanti in istituzioni europee e nazionali, multinazionali, in centri di ricerca di tutto il mondo, presso istituti bancari e taluni anche presso realtà del nostro stesso territorio. Vi auguro quindi che Lucca IMT vi aiutino a realizzare le vostre aspirazioni. Spero che molti di voi possano trovare qui a Lucca le opportunità e motivazioni professionali. Spero che in ogni modo Lucca IMT vi restino per sempre nel cuore. Grazie.
The last part of the translation I'll read quickly. I also feel the need to repeat the same observation that I proposed 1 year ago today when speaking about the foundation, which I feel is even more relevant today. The foundation must take on the role of guarantor of the profound reasons that brought an entire community to establish the school and of the fundamental values of which I just spoke. I will personally see to this. This ceremony, which is so important for your life and for the entire city, has been held for the last 13 years. We have given our welcome and hospitality to hundreds of students. Many of the students before you have gone on to important roles in European national institutions, research centers around the world, banks, and some even local contexts. My wish is therefore that both Lucca and the IMT School can help you realize your aspirations. I hope that many of you can find many opportunities here in Lucca, and I hope that Lucca and the IMT School will always remain in your hearts. We now give the floor to the Mayor of Lucca, Alessandro Tambellini.
Porgo il mio benvenuto e quello della città ai nuovi allievi provenienti dall'Italia e da molti paesi stranieri per frequentare i dottorati della scuola IMT Alti Studi, che è un vanto della nostra città e un'eccellenza nel panorama italiano e internazionale. Siete qui per concentrarvi su materie di studio molto impegnative. Avete superato selezioni complesse, difficili, e molti di voi vengono da lontano. Posso garantirvi che Lucca saprà accogliervi con la sua bellezza discreta, con la gentilezza dei suoi abitanti, con la qualità della sua vita conservata nel tempo. La città vi apparirà serrata dentro l'anello verde e rosso delle sue mura e dei baluardi, eredità monumentale della storia di uno Stato indipendente dal Medioevo fino all'arrivo di Napoleone.
On behalf of myself and the entire city, I would like to welcome the new students from Italy and from around the world here for the doctoral program at the IMT School for Advanced Studies, the pride of our city and an excellence within the Italian university panorama. You are here to carry out rigorous studies. You have passed a difficult selection, and many of you are from far away. I can guarantee you that Lucca will welcome you with its discreet beauty, with the kindness of its inhabitants. The city and the high quality of life may appear locked within the green and red ring of its walls, the monumental heritage of the history of an independent state from the Middle Ages until the arrival of Napoleon.
Ma questa urbanistica chiusa non vi inganni. La ricchezza finanziaria e culturale di Lucca raggiunse il suo apice grazie alla sua apertura verso il mondo e grazie alle relazioni internazionali che seppe intrattenere, quando i suoi mercanti viaggiavano nel Mediterraneo e in tutti gli angoli del vecchio continente, quando i suoi banchieri, precursori della finanza moderna, prestavano capitali ai regnanti d'Europa e i suoi tessitori producevano le sete più pregiate, ineguagliate per qualità. Oggi, grazie a IMT, Lucca si colloca ai più alti livelli culturali e scientifici e si rinnovano la tradizione e la vocazione internazionale della città.
This closed urban design must not trick you. The financial and cultural wealth of Lucca reached its zenith thanks to the opening towards the outside world and thanks to the international relationships that the city knew how to develop when its merchants traveled throughout the Mediterranean and in all corners of the old continent, when its bankers, the precursors of modern finance, lent to the rulers of Europe, and its weavers produced the finest silk. Today, thanks to the IMT School, Lucca can be found at the highest cultural and scientific levels, and the international tradition and vocation of the city is renewed.
Per questo il mio sentito ringraziamento va al direttore Pietro Pietrini, a tutto il corpo docente per il lavoro che svolgono con successo. Va al presidente della Fondazione Lucchese per l'Alta Formazione e la Ricerca, Marcello Bertocchini, per il sostegno che dà a questa nostra istituzione. La presenza di IMT fa sì che la città possa godere delle fondamentali competenze culturali e scientifiche portate da vostri docenti, ma anche da voi stessi. Vi auguro di lavorare con profitto e di trascorrere giornate intense e ricche di esperienze e nello stesso tempo serene, come se vi trovaste a casa vostra, portando con voi, anche quando sarete di nuovo lontani, il ricordo e l'immagine e la cultura della nostra città e del nostro territorio.
For this, my warm thank you goes to the director, Pietro Pietrini, for the work that he is carrying out along with the other professors with success, and to the president of the Lucca Foundation for Higher Education and Research, Marcello Bertocchini, for the support that he gives to this institution. The presence of IMT is such that the city can enjoy the fundamental cultural and scientific competences brought both by professors and yourselves. I wish for your work to be fruitful and for you to pass many days that are both intense and serene, as if you were at your own homes, carrying with you the memory, image, and culture of our city, even when you are far away.
Benvenuti a Lucca e buona fortuna.
We now call to the podium the school's administrative director, Alessia Macchia.
Good morning, welcome everybody. I just want to tell you just two easy and quickly things. We are going to, by the end of next year, the school will be evaluated, so we have to face an accreditation process, which involves you as well as the director and the professor, and so all the community. And so we would have a lot of time to spend together and to work hard in order to pass this important evaluation. The second thing is that in the next few days, we are going to sign an agreement with the healthcare authority, which give us the opportunity to have psychological support for all the students, the employees, and everyone who wants to have this opportunity in order to give us an help to face every situation of danger, problem, or stress. So if you have any problem, you have 3 representatives here at the school, so keep in touch with them or contact us directly, and we give you all you need, we hope. So welcome, and we hope this day could be the first day of an important change in your life, and we wish you good luck. We say good luck and join the school.
We now call to the podium the director of the IMT school, Professor Pietro Pietrini, who will give his address.
Good morning to everyone. It's a real pleasure for the third time now to welcome all you here as you are about to begin your course. How do I do this here? I will go over some data just to give you an idea of what the school is, or what you are actually, because you were selected from almost 1,500 applications, which means that it was a very tight call. Applications were submitted from 113 different countries around the world. We invited only 1/10 or less of the students, of the applicants to be interviewed. And you now are those who follow in the footsteps of the almost 300 students who have earned their PhD here in the years before. As I said, applications were received from all over the world, and as a matter of fact, the admitted students come not only from Italy, but also from many other countries around the world. And altogether, we have 1/3 of our students who belong to different countries outside Italy. And this is because we are just one planet. And if you look at this planet from very far above, you see that there are no boundaries. And at the end of the presentation, I will tell you which one is the only boundary that we care about here at the school. What is the school? The school is one of the 6, actually not 7, 6 higher education school in Italy. The UAV is sort of a mixed things, but it's not a higher formation school. Like the Scuola Normale Superiore in Pisa, which is the anciest one, over 200 years old. The Scuola Sant'Anna, Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna in Pisa. Sissa in Trieste. IUS in Pavia, and finally the GSSI, which is the most recent school, which was founded a couple of years ago in L'Aquila. So we are one of higher education schools, and we focus on post-laureate formation, meaning that the school is organized in basically at the moment in two main doctorate courses with two different tracks, and you belong to one of these tracks, as you know. Whereas the school is organized into different doctorates, and each doctorate has two different tracks, at the same time, what is common to the school is the multidisciplinary and cross-sectional transversal approach, so that different disciplines cut across to give you a wider formation and a wider perspective to look at things and to ask questions. The school is organized with governance, which includes, besides myself, I'm pleased to be the director, a deputy director, who is Professor Ennio Bilancini from economics. There are delegates for each of the main topics that are of concern at the Scuola: research, didactic, international relations, relation with the territory, so on and so forth, students, of course. There is an administrative director who I thank for her welcome a few minutes ago, and then there are an academic council and executive council, which is the council which makes the decision, basically. So, as I said before, the deputy director is here in the front row along with me, and you already met administrative director Teresa Macchia. The delegates are all here, and our Professor Ennio Bilancini, who is delegated for accreditation and is also vice director, Mirko Tribastone, delegates for didactic activities and high formation, Marco Paggi is our delegate for research, Emanuele Pellegrini is delegate for internationalization, Emiliano Ricciardi is delegate for relation with alumni, social policy and equal opportunities, and Nicola Lattanzi is delegate for innovation and relation with institutions and business. Faculty. At the moment, we have 11 full professors, 5 associate professors, 26 assistant professors, 8 postdoctoral fellows, and 12 research collaborators. Students enrolled are currently 155, and as I said before, 291 have already been awarded the PhD. We have a very important and supportive administrative staff, which now comprises 34 members, and without them we would not be able to run the school. You will become familiar with these individuals, faces that you see here. Most of them are here today. A couple of people are excused for both health and business, health problems and business relation and motivations. I will not go over all the faculty. You will have an opportunity, more of an opportunity, in the next few days to meet with each one of them. Where do we get the money to run the school, its programs, and provide you with the accommodation that you have received in this wonderful ancient monastery, completely renovated. We get funding from the Italian Ministry of Education, University and Research. It's called the FFO, Fondo di Finanziamento Ordinario, which means common money for common running of a school. And as Marcello Bertocchini said before, the Lucca Foundation for Higher Education and Research was contribution include the use of the campus buildings and additional funds for research and activity, and to say that in one word, without fluff, without the Fondazione for Lucchese for l'Alta Formazione e la Ricerca, simply the school will not be here, will not ever be found. Other contributions, very important, come from financed research projects and contribution from other public institutions, and we are making any effort to improve the amount of money that we are able to get from projects and from other institutions besides the two that I already mentioned. What are our strengths? Well, if you lend your ears to those who preceded me, you already have a clear idea of what our strengths are. A multidisciplinary model, different disciplines which are put together to try to provide a novel and innovative approach to research, to pursue questions. High quality of a scientific profile of research groups. All our faculty members and both senior and junior are bright, motivated, and qualified, highly qualified researchers and professors. We try to have a PhD program as good as possible, so the best possible. And I think it's very important the model of a residential campus, which favors the dialogue between the faculty and students and researchers and across different disciplines. Students usually are in a double bedroom, and rarely two students from the same disciplines, from the same PhD track are put together, just to favor that, at least at night, when you go to bed or when you spend time in the room, you talk of different things and you confront yourself with your colleague. The school is growing year after year like a tree. Year after year, the school has grown, and we now have an accreditation by June 2019, which is our general goal. Accreditation will not go into details because it's not the place to go into details, but accreditation is quite a serious thing because, first of all, if we are not accredited, the school will not survive, so it's not just an embellishment, it's something crucial. And then because accreditation means that the school will meet all the criteria to be really an excellent school. We offer many possibilities, not only in campus of formation, but also with other institutions. I like to just spend one word on our joint PhD program in data science that we have with Scuola Normale Superiore, Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna in Pisa, University of Pisa, and CNR in Pisa. And this is the first example of a conjoint activity with two of the other schools and with the University of Pisa. We have many international collaboration and relationship which favor exchanges of students, and we have also conjoint research doctorate titles with some university in Europe. There are 3 days that are special here at the school. One is today, the welcome day, usually this period in November, which is the day where all the community gives, the whole community gives its welcome to the new students. We have the academic year inauguration ceremony, which is when we officially open the academic year, and then, which again will be in a few months, the graduation ceremony, where your colleagues that who entered the PhD course years ago will obtain their degree. So hopefully the graduation ceremony will come for you as well at the end of the program. What we aim to pursue in the future, and we are working towards that goal, is to increase the PhD scholarship, increase joint scholarships, as I mentioned before, and very important, we are planning to have an extension of a PhD program to 4th year, to put the PhD program in line with that of most European and only extra-European university, including several universities in our country. We will also improve postdoctoral career and placement, especially through the enhancement of alumni, students and alumni association, which is actually pretty active on this. We will have also second-level masters in social and technological topics, summer and winter schools, and we will have also honoris causa doctorate. Placement. It's too early for you to talk about placement because you are just entering the PhD program, but certainly when you enter a PhD program, you have in mind, at least in a sort of deadline, where you want to go. And so placement is very important because it's the place where you want to be, and the travel you have began with your PhD course. Here are some examples of where our students, ex-students, have found a job, both at an academic level and at industrial companies or private level, institutional levels. And the Students and Alumni Association is now in the process of having an update, let's say, list of all the contacts of people, students who were formerly at the school. It's important also for students to form a clear idea of what they want to do and where we want to go. And this Incubate project, which is done in collaboration with the Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna in Pisa and founded by the region Tuscany regions where we are, aims exactly to support professional development and growth of students' potential through what we call orientamento, to explain better where we can go and we will go. Students and Alumni Associations, this is very important. We founded this association in 2016, and then the association is now taken off. As of today, more than 100 students and alumni have signed up to take part in the association, and the main aim of the association are to create a strong bond between the students and the school, for the return of alumni to the school for future research, work, recreational activity, and especially to be a reference point for our students. The students who are in course and the students who have left the school and have already found a job or in another place in Italy or abroad. And ultimately, the aim is that of creating an international network with, where Lucca is the center of this international network. The Student and Alumni Association has its own board, and which was created and voted during the graduation ceremony in last July. So here you see the first executive council, which is composed of 7 alumni and 3 students who are currently in course here, and is presided at the interim by Professor Emiliano Ricciardi, who is our delegates for students. Of course, the association is going to have and to elect its own president for this. Research. Research is one of the 2 components of the soul of a university professor: teaching and research. Teaching is crucial. Teaching is a privilege. It's not only a duty. It's a privilege before being a duty. And very simply, to put things very simply, without teaching there would be no school, so we would not be here. Along with teaching, research is the other component, is the yin and yang of a soul of a university professor. We do pretty well in research. As I mentioned before, all our professors and researchers are very good in what they do. And I will not go through all this, but just to tell you that research is conducted at a higher level, and students are introduced to research since the very first months, differently across the different PhD programs, but you will learn how to do research hands-on, which is the way to do this. We have recruited 66 individuals in 2015-2018 in terms of junior researchers, and also developed the agreements and conventions with the foundations, center, research institute to expand our research network. And in a few days, and all of you are warmly invited to attend, there will be the presentation of an Innovation Center Lab Neuroscience, which is the first of its kind in Italy, and I think in research in neuroscience also in Europe, which is a major effort which has been developed through a collaboration with Banca Intesa San Paolo, who has a foundation to foster research. And on next Tuesday, not tomorrow, next week Tuesday, on the 27th in the afternoon, there will be the official presentation of this Innovation Center Lab. As I said, I warmly invite you to this. Also, we have a joint technology transfer office, Giotto, along with the Scuola Normale Superiore, Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna, IUS Pavia. This is was the first actually significant step forward in the collaborative effort with the other institutions, the other schools in Pisa. We try to improve and to favor as much as possible the participation of younger researchers to research, and to, in a competitive world like it is the world of research internationally, one thing is to be able to get grants. This is something that you learn when you are young and when you develop further as you grow up. And so we are trying to have tools and ways to foster this and to encourage younger people and younger scientists to apply for grants, as you see here. Strengthening of fundraising initiatives is very important, as I mentioned, because the school is aiming at becoming, in terms of research, as much as possible autosufficient. So, which means that research has to be supported by funds that come from external funding sources, not only from the school. Third mission, and internationalization. This is the third, it's called a third mission because university have also a duty, which is the one to let things be known by people who are not university professor or research. Means that you do research, you teach, and you need also to disseminate knowledge across among common people, layman people. There is no research results that cannot be communicated to somebody else who is not from the field. If you are not able to communicate your research funding, your research results means that you do not have clear ideas yourself on what you have been doing and what you have achieved. Any results can be communicated and must be communicated, and you will learn also how to do this. And actually, as a matter of fact, it's very important that you take active part in the initiatives that the school puts in effort for in this sense. You see here the Brain Awareness Week, which is the third week in March, to make people know how much the brain is important for our daily life. Bright is the night of research in Europe, which actually has become with us a week of research because we have initiative along the whole week. We have several appointments throughout the year called Open IMT, and then also aperitivi delle idee, which means ideas, aperitifs, for layman people again, with guests from outside who talk about their activities. I think we can skip this. And the campus. Well, you also already have had an opportunity to visit the campus, to actually get in your own room, to move around, to use the canteen, likely also the library. The campus is a wonderful campus because this campus is something that I would say is unique. It is the second most ancient Franciscan convent in the world, which means that this campus has several hundred years of life. And at the same time, thanks to Fondazione Cassa di Risparmio di Lucca and FLAFR, this campus has been completely renovated, and this campus is equipped with the best possible informatic and modern tools you may need. So it's a combination of ancient and modern technology, ancient architecture, modern technology, and I think it's the right combination. The chiostri, this yard that you see here, reminds me of an ancient chiostri in the old Greece, 15 centuries ago, where people would, and subsequent centuries, where people would go, philosophers would spend their time walking and talking, and most of the ideas and of the concept that have been discussed, they are still the frame, conceptual frame of what we investigate nowadays were born by different people from different perspectives, working together and talking and discussing until the, while the day went on about nature, reasons, about why we are here, what we are supposed to do, what is correct to do, what is not correct to do. And I think this probably is something that the campus likely fosters also in all of us. The school has three main sites. The campus is this. Then there is a administrative office building, and the library, which is also very beautiful from an architectonic point of view. And we are encouraged to use the library. You also have desks at the library for yourself, for being able to study there if you wish, and library is quite furnished. Future prospects. The campus that you see now is going to grow, thanks again to a project together with Fondazione Cassa di Risparmio di Lucca. And the building that you see here framed in the yellow or orange line has been acquired, will be renovated, and will be a great expansion for the campus. It's just nearby, is a few steps away. And will become this, so with more place for students, for didactic areas, and for foresteria. As you can see here, it will be all. Let's skip the details. The creation and launch of Innovation Center Lab, or what I already talked about within the San Francesco complex, as a scientific committee, which is composed by myself, Professor Rocco De Nicola, Professor Giuseppe Caldarelli, Professor Massimo Riccaboni, expansion of the library facilities, as I said before, and I think that I want to conclude with this. This is a graphic representation of all we do at the school, what we are at the school. You know better than I do. Try to explain to me, but the single words, depending on the height of a word and the thickness of the letters, means the relevance, the pertinence of that word with what we do. So you see, substantially here, the main word is school. So here we are a school. We teach students, we raise students to become great scientists, great researchers, and to have a wonderful life asking why. Thank you very much.
We are now about to give the floor to the professors of the IMT school for a presentation of the 4 tracks. The first person to present will be Professor Massimo Riccaboni, and he will present his track in Economics, Networks, and Business Analytics, which is under the System Science PhD program.
So, welcome, benvenuti. Let me say something the director already said. So, one of the most distinctive character of the PhD track in economics, networks and business analytics, and the PhD in general here at IMT, it's its interdisciplinary nature. So I prepare a short presentation, well, to use this expression, American expression, my 2 cents to you, to students, just to tell you a little bit about what are the two most important aspects for an economist. First, curiosity-driven research questions. There's plenty of interesting research questions in economics to tackle. And the second one, I'm trying to demonstrate in a few slides that it's not good to be a pure economist. I think it's good to be open to other disciplines, be collaborative, be open-minded, especially in this place. So this is quite exclusive property feature of this PhD program. Okay, so this expression is pretty common in the American language, but maybe nobody knows where it comes from. Historically, maybe this is the first case in which it has been used. This is the Mark's Gospel, and this is known as the widow's mite. And the widow's mite, as you see, I highlighted it in red, this poor widow come and put two very small copper coins, that's the English translation, worth only a few cents. So of course the coins are different, but it's two and not one. And so and it was the smallest coin at the time of Jesus. Okay, this is the historical origin. So widows, let me say something about widows. Okay, what is important to know about widows at the time was that it was a really desperate condition. Were among the poorest, the most marginalized in the society, and the powerless you can think about. And so this is extremely important to know. And to put in context, another things that I found surprising is that the gap of age between, the average gap of age between husbands and wives was about 12 years. So in our times, of course, totally different. But this, of course, you can imagine there was many widows at the time. And as I said, it was an extremely marginalized condition. So the point that it was two coins, two mites, testify that the extreme generosity of the widow. Why extreme generosity? Because if you have two of them, maybe you can keep one. And you can think of, now we have this, which is called the Big Mac Index. Big Mac Index, economists maybe they know, is just to compare, the parity purchase power value of currencies across countries. So you can think of the two coins as worth a Big Mac today. Something like that was worth to get the food for just one day. Okay, so this was the extreme generosity of the widow, and you can think of it as a research question. Is it the case, like in the Mark Gospel, that poor people are more generous than wealthy people? Okay, this has been investigated in economic literature, at least recently, meaning in the last 40 years. In the beginning, there was some evidence that the relationship was U-shaped. So the very wealthy were generous, and the poor people are generous. But more recent evidence shows that relative generosity is higher for the poor. And this is quite surprising. So poor people are more generous than wealthy people. This is what you know in the US, the Netherlands, Europe. That's the evidence we are collecting, showing something which is puzzling to us, why that's the case. Okay, let me add something specific to the economist. Maybe it's worth to know that the economist used to be amongst the least generous across all disciplines. See here I cite, this is Frank, Journal of Economic Perspective, Frank et al. Journal of Economic Perspective, 1993. It's just serving some empirical evidence. As you see, I highlighted it. Well, there's evidence that, say, only 1.1% of professional school respondents in economics give money to charity. That's for the economists, and if you look at the other disciplines, the same disciplines we have here at IMT, they are well more generous than economists. So not good to be a pure economist, especially it seems that if you get trained in economics, and so you get trained that you should be selfish, maybe you turn into being more, less generous than other people, colleagues in other disciplines, which is quite strange, let's say. And one last evidence, this is just to conclude, as I said, there's just 4 or 5 slides about that. Okay, there's also recent evidence that religion, so if you grew up in a religious family, you tend to be less generous. So you see, statistically significant, the difference between non-religious people and religious people, why there's no statistical evidence of any gap in between the Christian, Catholic religion and the Islamic religion. So this is to say that there's plenty of new, interesting research questions to investigate, but as you see here, you can easily, if you ask just a single question, a very stupid question, you start from a 2-cent expression, you see that you can immediately open an extremely interesting research avenue, trajectory, and to investigate such a trajectory, you have to know about history, you have to know about economics, you have to know about other disciplines like experimental and behavioral economics, neuroscience, so on and so forth. So every interesting research question you can ask implies nowadays to be open to other disciplines, especially if you're a shellfish economist. Okay, let me add some little details about the PhD track. I'm pretty sure you get the chance to interact with the faculty, researchers, colleagues, so you know a lot about the track itself. I just want to stress the fact that it is a track exists from the very beginning of the school, 2005, and well, we have been through a selective admission procedure, so since you have been part of it, there's no need for me to tell to you. And another fact that has already been highlighted by the director is that the Department of Economics and Related Disciplines here at the school has been ranked first twice at the national evaluation exercise. So that means we've been topping rank for 2 evaluations in a row. We have a seminar series. We are very proud of the seminar series. We have some prestigious speakers coming from the best universities around the world. Harvard, you see in the list, and Santa Fe, and so on and so forth. So we invite everybody to actively take part into the seminars activity. And as the director already said, we sign agreements for double degrees, one with the KU Leuven, that was the first one, and more recently we signed another agreement with the University of Alicante, and I know there's a couple of students, Spanish students this year, coming from Alicante, and so they are part of this collaboration we started just 1 year ago. So this is it. Thank you very much, and as I said, be generous and be collaborative with your colleagues. Thank you.
We now invite to the podium Professor Mirko Tribastone to give his presentation of the track in Computer Science and Systems Engineering, which is under the System Science PhD program.
So good morning, everybody, and very well welcome also on behalf of the professors of the CSSC track. I'll be very brief also in the interest of time. I'll tell you about what we do in a track. Our track is quite heterogeneous, as you will see later, but essentially there is a common term, which is called cyber-physical systems, which tries to put together all the different things that we do. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yeah, okay, good, thank you. So I was saying cyber-physical systems, and what it is is a collection of topics that consider somehow the interaction between the physical world and the digital world. And there are many examples that I will not even mention them all, but there are some terms like Industry 4.0, which is making traditional industries smarter. That is all about cyber-physical systems, the Internet of Things, where usual everyday objects are equipped with computational capabilities in order to become smarter and more adaptable to the environment. And of course, there is also intelligence in new materials, again, to be more adaptable, and so on and so forth. So what do we require for handling cyber-physical systems and for reasoning about them and making them even better is somehow the ability to do computation at a very large scale. We think of billions of devices that are connected to the internet and exchange data and information. And the information must be secure because, for example, you don't want your private, very private information like health information to be exposed to third parties, but only to be communicated to the person, to the people involved, and to the companies involved. And what we also need to have is a way of performing optimal decisions online. And by optimal decision, I mean the ability of a system to self-configure somehow such that it can achieve the objective for which it was designed in an optimal way. That is to be fast, and it has to adapt very quickly to changes in the environment. And then finally, we need to develop new materials and sensors that can communicate with the digital world. So these are the three main, among the three main topics that we are investigating. And essentially, those are things that are of interest to computer scientists when it comes to computation, algorithms, and so on, to control theorists, control engineers, automation engineers, and for the materials, for mechanics, structural mechanics people. And these are the three main souls, if you wish, of our track. So we are small, like IMT, 4 professors. We have Alberto Bempert, who is professor of control systems. Rocco De Nicola, who is not here and apologizes for his absence, is professor of computer science. And Marco Paggi is a professor of structural mechanics. The typo is actually a full professor now. And myself, I'm associate professor of computer science. In addition, we have 7 assistant professors, a number of visiting professors, 12, 8 postdocs, and 28 PhD students. I think these numbers are not up to date. Now, with respect to when it comes to funding, as the Director Pietrini was mentioning before, of course, we need to apply for funding in order to make more relevant studies, and also to be able to employ more people. And we work at different levels. So we work at the level of foundational studies, so basic research, pure curiosity-driven research, and that's kind of funded by the usual suspects, including very prestigious one in Europe and across the world, and including also local funding agencies like the Tuscany Administrative Region. And in addition to that, we also focus on applied research, close to technological transfer, so how to make our results applicable in the real world. And we collaborate with a number of industries, local as well as national and international industries. When it comes to the research topics, I will be very brief because by now I think you know it already. You have been talking to your colleagues and maybe already to a number of professors. So this co-research unit is about control and optimization. The idea that you have a system, you have a target for the system, an objective, and you want to create some other system, a controller, such that it can change the parameters such that your system achieves its optimal behavior. And it requires the knowledge of topics which are about dynamical systems, so learning how to model such systems in a mathematical way, and model predictive control, which is a way of optimizing systems in real time, so optimization, and identification and machine learning to actually learn models from observations of the systems. And the idea is to essentially design advanced control algorithms for creating systems that can react autonomously, safely, and optimally. With a number of applications, as you can imagine, in the automotive scenario, aerospace, smart cities, and plants, industrial plants. SISMA, instead, is the research unit focused on computer science. And we do basic computer science, foundational computer science research, kind of at the core discipline, talking about programming languages, in particular for distributed and concurrent systems, so with systems that are composed of many agents. We work at the level of formal verification, so how to formally and automatically prove that a program is correct, which is safe and reliable and so on. And we work also with topics that are at the intersection with natural sciences, so algorithmic view on the problems of minimizing, abstracting, and reducing the differential equations and other kinds of dynamical systems. There is a lot of effort as well placed on security, and in particular on cybersecurity, which is a very hot topic now. And we also like to develop tools as part of our research topic. But the whole idea is essentially to have safe and rigorous ways of proving that your software is correct. We have lots of applications. We have applications to smart transport, applications to biochemical networks, as I said, for natural sciences, supply chains, in particular the security of supply chains, and also mobile security. So MUSAM instead is the track dedicated to computational mechanics, and there are essentially the main core is the development of computational methods for applied mechanics and engineering, computational solid and fluid mechanics and molecular dynamics, contact fracture mechanics, and the MUSAM also has a laboratory where the theory is also evaluated in practice. The whole aim is to develop new methodologies for the design and characterization of materials that can work in extreme conditions and in new conditions. With, as you can imagine, lots of applications ranging from graphene to fibrous materials to photovoltaics and as well as biological objects. Now, overall, our mission is to prepare researchers and the students, so the researchers of tomorrow, to have a solid background for the analysis of cyber-physical systems. And for that, we need a number of topics that have to be part of your background, including the knowledge of programming languages for the analysis of distributed systems, how to apply stochastic processes, how to deal with uncertainty, linear algebra everywhere, in particular in control, and methods for the treatment of differential equations, reduction, but also numerical analysis, and control and optimization algorithms and machine learning for learning models. So as the director was mentioning before, we are now moving on to the to a PhD course, which will be over 4 years rather than 3 years. Here I have a picture of what we expect from you in the next 3 years of your PhD. And essentially, as you know already, we start in the first year with the graduate courses, among which we will take the courses that are listed before, but not only those. There are also advanced seminars, and as other colleagues before me have suggested, we are small, but we have a very strong network of collaborations. And this network of collaboration is so strong that it allows us to invite people from all over the world, very relevant people from all over the world, that spend their time here, either visiting professors and guests, and which allows us to broaden your knowledge and also our knowledge, and to establish very strong scientific collaborations that allow us also to interact in a very consistent way. For example, by having students, PhD students of IMT, spending their period abroad in very top institutions around the globe. The first year you mostly spend here, taking these courses, and then sooner rather than later, you will start working on a research topic, which will be your main objective for the next 3 years. And at some point during the second or maybe the third year, you will have the opportunity to spend a period abroad. It is very important. It is extremely important for students. Many of you are already coming from abroad, so you're already experiencing this new way of life right now. But in any case, being exposed to a different way of working is very important for your professional growth. And we definitely strongly encourage that. And then toward the end of your 3 years, the end of the 3 years, you will start writing your thesis, which will be somehow the main summary of what you've been doing in these 3 years. And then eventually, after defending your dissertation and attending the graduation ceremony that the director was mentioning, you will look for jobs, and typically look for either a job in academia as a postdoc, or as a researcher in industry. That's essentially what we are expecting. Now, let me spend a few words, a personal note that it will probably be shared by many of my colleagues about one particular word that is written here, which is work hard. Now, here, I guess you already probably are experiencing it already, even if you just arrived. You are very lucky, because you are coddled by excellent administrative staff. You live in the place where the faculty is living. Our doors are always open. You can always come and talk to us. We usually respond very quickly to emails and things like that. You live in a beautiful city. You saw it already. The pictures from above that the director was presenting are astonishing. And you're also freed from everyday things, very little things like cleaning your room or preparing your meals. You just have to think about preparing your breakfast, but then you just go across the square and you will find lots of bars and things. So really, you don't have to worry a lot about many things. You're not looking for accommodations or contracts that are expiring and so on and so forth. The only thing that we require from you is to work hard. And that's not in our interest, because we already got our PhD, but it's mainly on your interest. If you work hard, then you can achieve very, very great things. And we like people that have strong ambitions. Of course, you are here in a residential campus, which is kind of unique in Italy, which also allows for very strong social interactions among peers, among other PhD students, with lots of opportunities of partying and playing. So I'm not saying that you don't have to play hard, but what I'm saying is that you have to work even harder than that, because that's very important for your future. Thank you for listening.
We now invite to the podium Professor Emanuele Pellegrini to present the track in Analysis and Management of Cultural Heritage, which is under the Cognitive and Cultural Systems PhD program.
Thank you very much. Welcome also from our side. Just a few words. Our PhD program is based on the interaction between the PhD program in Analysis and Management of Cultural Heritage and one research unit, which is called Links. Our PhD track has a different history from the other. It was closed in 2007, 2008, and in 2008 we have the former director, Fabio Pammolli, commissioned a feasibility study for a new area in cultural heritage, and in 2008 and 2009 we have the new presentation of the new PhD project directed by Maria Luisa Catoni. In 2009 and 10, we have the first edition of this new track in Analysis and Management of Cultural Heritage, and in 2011 the Links research unit was born. Our way of conceiving the problem of cultural heritage is completely different from a traditional PhD in art history or archaeology, because we put just in the middle of our research the cultural heritage, and we use all the discipline, management, philosophy, art history, just to solve the problem of cultural heritage. I can say the same from the point of view of the selection of the students, because our students come from different background in terms of studies, because we have art historian, archaeologists, historians, philosophy, architecture, and from provenance, because also matching different programs in provenance in terms of cultural heritage means just try to compare different methodology and to combine different methodology. And this is some of statistics about the provenance of our students. As you can see, we have plenty of foreign students, the majority of our students, and some Italians all along our history. Basically, our PhD track is made like this. The first year you have to attend classes, courses, and seminars, which are mandatory and very relevant for for the philosophy, how we conceive the PhD track. The second year we have research period abroad from 6 to 9 months, and the third year is made for the thesis submission process. I mean, you have to write a book, and so you have to write a lot, and then the defense session. Our courses are along this main area: historical, philosophical, juridical, institutional, economics and management, and information technologies applies to cultural heritage, but are mainly not just a very research-oriented courses. So mainly you are faced with a professor who are involving you in their research project, in lively research problems, open research problems. So our students usually are, after having their PhD, they are open to academic career or profession in the field of cultural heritage. Just a few words about our faculty. I am the director of the track. I'm an art historian with my research interest in the history of collecting and digital art history. Maria Rosa Gatoni, full professor in classical archaeology. She is the inventor of this PhD track and present director of the research unit Links. She's mainly dealing with ancient history and theories of perception. Professor Lorenzo Cassini, which is unfortunately cannot be here because of an health problem, is a full professor of legislation of cultural heritage. He's mainly dealing with cultural heritage law and museum regulation. Now has been appointed president of the International Society of Administrative Law very recently. And Amos Bertolacci, since a few months, our new full professor in history of medieval philosophy, and is dealing with the transmission of Greek philosophy into Arabic and Arabic philosophy into Latin, and all his main research interests you can see over there. And then the junior faculty, so to say, Professor Linda Bertelli. She's an assistant professor in visual studies of science, with their research interest mainly in aesthetics. Yejim Tonga, former our PhD student, which now is the postdoc. She's also leading an important project here together with Lucca Comics and Games about the relationship between temporary and permanent exhibition. And then since April 2018, two new postdoc fellows, Riccardo Levito and Alessandro Poggio, both of them archaeologists, open-minded archaeologists, not classical archaeologists. I mean, dealing mainly with the relationship of, for example, the different culture and the problem of digital heritage and classical tradition. Then we have plenty of visiting professors. Mainly I'm going to show you some of them. Professor Stefano Baiacurioni and Paolo Dubini from Bocconi University, and Andrea Zocchi, former McKinsey director, which are doing courses and seminars for our students, and then some important international professors and scholars like Carl Brandon Sterke, which is here Emeritus Curator of Philadelphia Museum of Art, which is a professor of history of early modern and modern art history, and Carlo Ginzburg, who doesn't need any kind of presentation, one of the top Italian intellettuali. So just to conclude, these are our main topics, which are developed both by our PhD students and in the Links research unit, because our PhD students are involved in the project carried out by research unit Links, so mainly contested heritage, the project of cultural heritage in difficult management context, temporary versus permanent activities, and all what is related to the management of cultural heritage. And meaning we are in Italy, which is probably the right country to face any kind of the complexity of problem of managing the cultural heritage. We have plenty of institutional collaborations, both in Italy and abroad, with institutions like the Superintendenze and with university or research center. So good luck with your period year, and let me repeat, work hard. Thank you.
We now give the floor back to Professor Pietro Pietrini to present the track in Cognitive, Computational, and Social Neurosciences, which is under the Cognitive and Cultural Systems PhD program.
Good morning again, and cognitive, computational, and social neuroscience. What we do basically, we try to integrate basic neuroscience methods, including molecular biology, genetics, behavioral genetics, with traditional experimental psychology, cognitive neuroscience, and structural and functional brain imaging. We have, to do so, a research unit, MOMILab, which stands for Molecular Mind Lab, and comprises 2 faculty members, myself and Professor Emiliano Ricciardi, 5 assistant professors, and at the moment 2 postdocs. See here names and faces. What are you expected to do? Well, not very much different from what you have already heard. The first year especially we will be attending classes and seminars, and will also be introduced to research activities. So you will start the very next few weeks to do research under supervision. Then you will have to develop your own project for what would be your dissertation project, and you are encouraged to spend a period abroad or in another institution in Italy, because Italy, there are many different institutions which are highly qualified for this. Finally, in the third year, you will have to come to a closure with definition of your research activity in order to write up your dissertation and submit your thesis. Research activity, as I said, will start soon, and our PhD students are very much encouraged and guided through research. You see that your colleagues from the preceding cycles have already published papers and submitted the first name presentation at meetings. Some of them have also received awards in international meetings. Courses and educations are courses, we will take courses which are specific for the discipline, more specific for the discipline, along with courses which come from the boundary disciplines and from other tracks, in that perspective that I mentioned before of cross-sectional and transversal approach. Students will work, as I mentioned, within the Molecular Mind Laboratory, which is a multidisciplinary integrated research group with research lines that goes from range across different fields of cognitive and social neuroscience and psychophysiology. And again, if you look at the word cloud, here you see what are the main aims of interest, the main goals. We basically, to put this in very simple sentence, we are interested in how we perceive and represent the external world and how we interact with it. So we go from studies of a neural basis, a conceptual representation of external world, which is of interest conjointly with other research units, especially with links, to how we interact. So what modulates and determines our behavior as social beings. Different techniques are used conjointly. We don't think that there is a technique or methodology is a better than another one. Is that the different technologies and methodologies have the pros and cons. Some are specific for something. And so by combining them, you can achieve and pursue and achieve your goals much better than you do. As my colleagues have shown you before, the school is I would say, almost a unique center because we have the opportunity across, thanks to the network of contacts that we have across the world with different centers, of having faculty here and also invite professors and researchers from many other centers in the world who come here, give seminars, lessons, spend time with us and with you, and this is an incredible opportunity to every day have some fresh air and a novel perspective from people across the world, and these people are usually the best experts in different fields. Thanks to this collaboration, students will also have the opportunity to work in different places within this network, both in Italy and across the planet, as I said. Seminars also are important, and also meetings and international congresses that are held here at the school, organized by ourselves. Over the past year, we have had the blind brain workshop here, which gathered together the specialists from across the world on the study of the blind brain and development of the brain. We hosted the 19th World Congress of Psychophysiology, just to mention the main two in the field of neuroscience. And actually, as a matter of fact, in a few months we'll organize in 25th anniversary meeting for organization of brain mapping in Rome, which is the largest and most important congress in the world on these themes. I don't want to repeat what my colleagues said, but actually one thing is important. You were selected carefully, at least we hope we did a very good job, among several hundred applications, and so you have gained a position here of which you should be proud and have a sense of belonging that will probably and likely grow with you during these 3 years. If I have to say 2 words, I would say words that all my colleagues have said: work hard. There is no better thing than being able to work hard and to challenge yourself every day with new challenges. So welcome again and enjoy your stay at the school.
We now invite to the podium the student representatives who will give their addresses. The first will be Nilay Saraf, student of the 31st cycle, from the track Computer Science and Systems Engineering.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nilay, and I'm one of the several international students at IMT, and I study control systems. It's a great pleasure for me to stand here and welcome the new students on behalf of the 31st cycle. First of all, I would like to congratulate each of you newcomers for achieving a position that fits your ambition to become an excellent researcher. I can imagine that you all might have completed numerous formalities before making the trip to this small medieval town. And the school does acknowledge your effort and courage for this. And I believe that at least after experiencing a few days at IMT, you all thought, yes, it was all worth it. I will not be sharing any spoilers about what you might be experiencing in the coming years, but I would like to share a few things with you that I would have wanted to know when I was at your place in the audience. I've been here for 3 years, and I'm glad that, like every year in IMT, we are seeing new faces full of enthusiasm and excitement. At IMT, you have the chance to meet and learn from many interesting people from very different cultures. I encourage you all to open up yourselves to talk with as many people as you can and make the most of this unique opportunity. I can understand that some of you felt the culture shock after coming to this new environment. However, since we are surrounded by so many like-minded people, I hope it'll be easy for all of you to adapt to this new environment and become an integral part of this new culture. As you may know already, this campus is like a world of its own because there's almost everything that you need and even more. I remember a student who challenged herself to survive in this campus without going out for as long as possible. And I can tell you that indeed she could easily manage almost a month's time without breathing outside IMT. For some people, it is indeed very tempting to stay here all the time, but I would like to remind those of you who don't know that Italy is amongst the top 5 most visited countries in the world from international tourists, and there is incredibly a lot to explore out there. I hope that all of you can manage some of your time to explore beautiful Italy and learn a bit about the Italian way of life. We are very fortunate to avail the facilities at IMT because of which we can make time for things besides working hard on your PhD. Much more than the classical researcher who is always either in the lab or in the bed. If there is only one thing for which you can spend your free time, I would strongly recommend the foreign students to learn the Italian language as soon as possible. Do not wait for the lectures. And the Italian students to strictly practice English when at IMT. Due to modern globalization, there are jobs out there which may value your foreign language skills more than the rest of your achievements. You will have your eureka moments during your PhD, certainly, but there can be bad times when you least expect. During good times, make sure to treat yourself with a nice pizza or a social dinner outside to reward your effort. It's very important. And during bad times, you can always sip good Tuscan wine with your friends or have an aperitivo and relax in one of the many bars in Lucca and regain the energy and motivation to pursue your goal. If nothing works, always remember that the perennial walls of Lucca will always make way for you to run over your stress. I wish you all the very best for your PhD, and the take-home message from me is that make the most out of your opportunity. Thanks for listening, and I would like to invite the next speaker, Stella Simic, who is one of the student representatives of IMT. Stella, the floor is yours.
Stella Simic is from the track in Computer Science and Systems Engineering from the 32nd cycle.
I'm a bit shorter than Eli. Well, hi everyone. I remember being here actually 2 years ago for my own welcome day and feeling very proud to be where you are right now. And I also remember that fortunately, unlike you, we didn't have to sit through 6 different welcome speeches given by students. So I thought I would keep it short for your sake. When they heard that I was going to be one of the speakers today, some of my friends from the 3rd and 4th year asked me to give a stand-up comedy touch to this speech. And one student actually took the time to write down a sketch. Another one offered me a reward if I finished off with a dark humor joke, which I'm not going to do. And a third one said that he would make a GIF of me and post it on the IMT students Facebook group if I reminded everyone to please free the racks. And as much as I would like to give you a preview of this very playful attitude that characterizes our student community, I thought that you would have many chances to experience this on your own, and that maybe I would prefer to share with you today a very simple but genuine thought that I associate to my life here in IMT. So what makes this place so special, in my opinion, is the closeness between people. If you think of it, we work together, we eat together, we live together, we take comfort in each other when we despair, but we also celebrate each other's success. And we all know each other by name, and we take care of each other. And this is something that goes beyond the division into tracks between us. Actually, it goes well beyond even just the students. What I think is that sometimes you will find a friendly face in your own advisor or in the staff, or even in the cleaning ladies and the canteen ladies that will often make you feel at home and make your day. So what I deeply believe is that at the end of these 3 years, you won't just have gained a PhD title. You will have probably gained friendships for life, or at least I hope so. And this is why I would like to encourage you to be open, to be friendly with everyone, no matter what their position is in IMT, because if you do so, you will see that your experience here will be so much easier and so much nicer for you. So I would like to wish you the best of luck with this new adventure of yours and to really make the most out of it. And just one last thing, obviously, please always remember to free the racks.
We now give the floor to Ilaria Zampieri, student from the 32nd cycle from the track in Cognitive, Computational, and Social Neurosciences.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the IMT Welcome Day. It was difficult to figure out how to summarize this 2-year experience at IMT in just a few words. Fortunately, the inspiration came to my mind totally unexpectedly in a dream that I had a couple of days ago. In this dream, I was supposed to drive a car But before leaving, my shoes kept slipping off, so I couldn't drive. While still trying desperately to shove my shoes back on, the car left on its own, out of my control, and I had to somehow find a way to drive it, even without shoes. Okay, then the dream ended with a terrible car accident, but let's not focus on that. When I woke up, I thought that this was the perfect metaphor for how I felt when I started my PhD here. When I came here, I had the feeling of not being ready, of not having studied enough during university, of not having a path, and having the need to find a research project in a very short time. In a word, I had the same feeling of being without shoes while the car was leaving by itself. Scary. The courses were very difficult to me, coming from a different background, and also my path was still uncertain, and my English was a mess. But I wasn't alone. Fortunately, or unfortunately, we were all on the same, I would say boat, but actually car in this case. What I can say today is that just later on, I became aware that while I was lost in my worries, without knowing, I had actually started to grow, and I discovered that I had more resources than I thought. And I discovered that many resources came from people around me sharing the same problems, sharing the same process. So what I would like to wish you, to the newcomers, is to treasure and to take advantage of any experience you can have during the next 3 years here at IMT, and also even beyond that. I want to tell you to take your time for finding your own path, even if it's hard, even if sometimes you will feel lost at any step you take, and even when you feel like you are not well equipped. Like in my dream, I came here without shoes, guys, and I'm still struggling to put them on. But somehow, I managed to drive that car. Thank you very much.
We now invite to the podium Samuel Edit, student from the 33rd cycle from the track in Economics, Networks, and Business Analytics.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's a great honor to be doing this on behalf of the Economics, Networks, and Business Analytics track. I'm kind of tempted at this point to say, okay, it's fine, welcome, and then leave the podium, but I guess I would have to do that. I would have to say something. But briefly, I would like to break the norm by presenting to you a video before my proper speech. Can I have some help here?
Some of us are serious, some thrive on comedy, some declare their lives are lived as proof.
Okay, thank you.
Some of us are serious, some thrive on comedy. Some declare their lives are lived as true profundity. And others claim they really live the real reality. I've sailed upon the 7 seas and stopped in every land. I've seen the wonders of the world, not yet one common man. I know 10,000 women called Jane and Mary Jane. I've not seen any two who really were the same. I note the obvious differences between each sort and type, but we are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike.
Okay, thank you. The American poet Maya Angelou knew quite well how impressionable and vulnerable we can be in the face of stories that tries to define our differences rather than our uniqueness. So it is for this reason she tried as much as possible to remind us that our difference, our uniqueness actually do contribute to the story of humanity. So today I'm compelled to basically remind you that stories do matter. As a matter of fact, unique stories do matter. I'm compelled to remind you to listen to stories of De La Sue. Is De La Sue around? De La Sue, yeah. Listen to a story of the wonderful experiences she had in Kalahari Desert and our interaction with the indigenous people of Botswana, as keen as you would listen to the story of Natalie Masson. Is Natalie Masson around? Yeah, from Canada, and I experienced studying in Cambridge. I believe that story do matter, and I believe that when we listen to these stories, we do not listen to it from a position of inflated pride, nor with any form of patronizing self-pity, well-meaning self-pity, but we should listen to these stories knowing from a position of understanding and making this understanding our core understanding of the world. I grew up in the city of Lagos, southwestern part of Nigeria. I had the privilege of a close-knitted, loving family. I learned firsthand the dignity of labor and also the need to aspire to something much more bigger than oneself. And one of such aspirations was to study at MIT. Well, here I am at IMT. I guess I took up the opportunity in IMT because it was just some permutations away from my dream. The choice was pretty difficult, but I must admit that after a year in IMT, it's been a decision worthwhile. So no matter where you come from, or for whatever reason you might have chosen IMT, I do strongly believe that while you navigate through the maze of classes, presentations, projects, and of course, apertivos, you will find these 3 nuggets very, very useful. Number 1, it's curiosity. You will be required to ask questions that matter. I urge you today that while you ask and explore the big questions in your field, that you do this with love and integrity. Because curiosity from the place of integrity and from the place of love stymies any form of societal degeneration. And lest I forget, do not allow your education interfere with your curiosity. Second is courage. I know it might sound a bit cliche asking you to be courageous, but I would still say that you should be courageous. Because the days ahead will breed self-doubt. Sometimes you will be choked with uncertainty and perhaps find your back on the floor. But I would ask you to be courageous, to stand up, to dust off every form of complacency, doubt, and uncertainty. Also, you must be courageous to recognize those things that get in the way of speaking the truth. you must be courageous to understand that things like empty cleverness, morally bankrupt irony, the desire to please, the deliberate obfuscation, and the tendency to confuse cynicism for sophistication should in no way stop you from speaking the truth. Most importantly, you must be courageous to say, I do not know. Because ignorance acknowledged is an opportunity to learn. Finally, collaboration. At some point, you will find yourself pacing around the corridors of IMT as though you hope to find some precious jewel you had dropped there. In the event that you do not find this precious jewel of yours, assuredly, you will find it in the enchanting voices of the IMT choral group, and as well in the camaraderie of the IMT soccer team. Although we are losing, but that's the more reason why you should join us. So I urge you to either join the IMT choral group or the soccer team. In the words of Isaac Newton, if I have seen any further, it is by standing on shoulder of giants. So my friends, doctoral candidates, doctoral student of doctoral class of 2018, please do not be shy or too proud to stand on the shoulders of people around you. Ask for help when you need one, because it is your best shot in making it through the next 3 years. To this end, I once again remind you of the words of Maya Angelou. We are more alike friends than we are unalike. We are more alike friends than we are unalike. Thank you very much. Welcome to IMT.
We now give the floor to Annalisa Napolitano, student of the 33rd cycle from the track in Computer Science and Systems Engineering.
Good morning to everybody, and I would like to say that I'm here for just 1 year, and I'm not feeling really different from you guys, so I have the same doubts you may have now. So that's why I'm not giving a lot of advice to you, and instead, when it seems that I'm talking about you, maybe I'm talking about myself. I didn't know what it meant to do a PhD when I started. I was advised by my professor at university, who perceived how much I love to do research and how much I love to study. Maybe they just saw in me what they had been when they started. All the rest of the world were expecting me to start working for a company and start earning money. Possibly a lot of money. Indeed, working for a company is typically easier, it's less stressful, and it's more profitable, especially at the beginning. Instead, working in the research can be really stressful, especially sometimes when you don't see the results that you really eagerly expected, or where it seems that your research project has not this big impact on the community you desired. But what is really beautiful in the research is that it's thrilling and it's really interesting and it is intellectually stimulating. There was not a day during this year in which I could not say that I learned something new, culturally or socially speaking. This is indeed an experience that has to be lived fully. You have to work hard on your research, but also speak with your colleagues and with your supervisors and work and play football or exchange your experience as your emotions, as your frustrations. And at the end of this trip, you're gonna find that you earned a family here in IMT, and that you can count on so many people that you didn't even know how to enumerate all of them. And if sometimes you find yourself a little tipsy in Teschino or in the living room, don't worry. Also, this is part of the game, and probably is the best part. You will have this incredible luck all together with a lot of people coming from different countries, and so get to know many different cultures. This will enrich you a lot, and you have to be thankful to all the discussions you will do with your supervisor and all the people you will meet and you will work with. I love to learn new things, and I love to discover how the things that I thought I knew really work. And I also love when I found myself totally ignorant about something that I thought I knew. If you're curious, and like me, you evaluate your day just by how much the day finally teaches you, that I'm really happy to say that I think that you are in the right place. Concerning advice, my supervisor Mirko, that I think that is more suitable than me to give advice to new students, just 1 year ago gave to me an advice that I consider extremely important now and essential. That is that use these 3 years to find your topic and work hard on it. And it must be something that you love so much that you cannot stop reasoning about it. To this, I would just like to add that this experience is revealing as an extraordinary experience, and that it is going away really rapidly. 1 year passed, and I didn't even notice. So please get the best from it, and try not to miss anything at all. Finally, welcome.
We now give the floor to Molefi Lidlovu, student from the 33rd cycle, from the track in Analysis and Management of Cultural Heritage.
Fellow doctorants of the 34th cycle, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Molefi. I come from Johannesburg, and I'm proudly Lucchese. So my task for today is rather simple after all has been said and all the speeches have been made. I guess what I'm supposed to do is to put together some of the experiences that our colleagues have shared from the heart, but also from a practical point of view. I think my professor from the AMCH track shared a lot around the intensity of the program and the seminars, the lectures, the multidisciplinarity, and all of that. It is true, even for myself, when I first came here, it was slightly daunting. The fact that a lot of them were not so related to my own topic, that many of them came from geographies I was not familiar with, made me feel a little bit insecure and also a bit threatened by the approach. But a year later, I see what the IMT laboratory is. This is what I understand it to be. It is like a modern weaving loom where all of us with our research project, our research agendas, come with our precious fibers made of different textures, different consistencies, and different colors. And the didactic program is like the process by which the weaving takes place. We are sewn together into this tapestry, but we are also pulled apart and reconfigured. We apply different analytical modeling, drawing from multiple disciplines, mobilizing cases, as I said, from different geographies, and drawing from insights from both fellow doctorants, but also some of the cutting-edge experts in the field which make up the faculty of most of our programs. And what this experience is bound to do is exactly what I feel I understand better now. It is about unsettling some of your own certainties, the things that you were so sure about, the things that you held on so dearly, put to a different light. You are given different ways to apply different lenses to look at your own problem. And in the end, your research agenda is not really your own. At least for my track, the 33rd track of the AMCH, really we felt like most of our projects are talking to each other. That now it's difficult for me to see my own project in isolation from those of my colleagues. And I hope this is one of the experiences that you will be able to gain in your journey in the PhD program, where your meanings become shared, where you can speak a common language, even if you speak from different geographic positions, where you can also be open and vulnerable to critique and to be challenged. And so, without too many words, I close again with the words of Maya Angelou, who says, and I borrow them, it's like I re-reference them. In a way, you are sitting in this hall on your first session, being welcomed to the IMT. You are alone, you are an individual. But what we hope that what this occasion marks is that your journey is when you become part of a group. So you come here alone, but hopefully at the end of your PhD journey, you will leave as standing as 10,000 to the power of 10. With those words, I want to welcome you with sincerity and congratulate you on starting your journey. Thank you.
Thank you to all the students for your remarks. We now invite to the podium Davide Bacciu, representative of the IMT School Student and Alumni Association.
So, good morning, and don't worry, there is not going to be a speech from all the past PhD cycles. Welcome. Where are you sitting, by the way? 34th cycle, where are you sitting? There, around there. So you're in the room, good. I know who I'm talking to. So I feel a stranger to this place, as you probably feel right now. I was once sitting on those chairs during my PhD ceremony. It was back in 2005, and IMT was a pretty different place at the time. Okay, this complex didn't even exist, at least not in this form, of course. And our inauguration ceremony was in a church, because you're in Lucca, everything is in a church in Lucca. You'll soon realize that. And well, IMT in 2005 was a newborn child. It was open, well, a couple of months. It was basically 4 classrooms, 4 PhD programs, so 1 PhD program for each classroom. Okay. And it was like 60 people and 5-6 administrative people trying to make sense of all these PhD students just stranded in Lucca from everywhere in the world. And, well, 60 students, 15 per room. and that was it. No canteen, no library, no faculty, no research personnel. But you know, already we had there the only thing that would have mattered in the years to come, and that will probably matter to you as well. The perception of the impact of this very thing might not strike you immediately, but it will at some point. And now to see this very important thing, you should probably look around you, on your left, on your right, at the back. And it's not really the magnificent walls of this place, because they are as irrelevant as before to me right now, but it's the faces of the people that you're sitting with, okay? They might look stranger to you today, and probably you barely know each other's name because you just met or so. But they won't be stranger to you in the future. It's the faces of those people that your people you sit in womb that in the next 3 years, well, those people are those with which you'll be sharing ideas, dreams, and thoughts. So maybe they will be your first co-authors. Those with you, you'll start thinking about your first spin-off, whose idea came out of late night talks somewhere in some pub. Some of those faces you probably end up hating. Some other ones you probably love, or a short, temporary, reasonable approximation of that. What I can surely tell you is that some of those faces will become friends for you and will become tied to you for the rest of your life. People that you will manage to meet even if they live in different areas of the globe, and even if you have a crazy life, and you will manage to find a way to meet them. So if you understood from the talks of your fellow colleagues, some of them brilliantly said this thing. A PhD in Lucca is above all an experience of intense sharing with people as smart as you are, because you're here because you're smart and committed and ambitious. And some of those faces will be those ones that will take care of your safe return to apartments after a too intense sharing of beverage, perhaps. And if you see people laughing, it's because they are second-year student and they know very well what they're saying. And if you see people crying, those are third-year students because they should be writing their thesis right now. But in a very essence, besides the scientific endeavor, a PhD at IMT is about forming ties, personal and professional, out of a shared intense experience with smart, curious, and committed people that will be there for you in the future. So now let me invite you once again to look around you and widen your view to outside of this room, perhaps outside of these walls. There you'll find other students which might not be here. There you'll find people like me who have completed their PhD program here. Well, we have founded the Alumni Association to extend your ties to these people who might not have shared the time with you at IMT, but certainly they have gone through what you're going to experience. Okay? They understand and value that experience, and in particular, we all recognize the single important thing of a PhD program. That is the people that take part in it. So join the Alumni Association to extend your network of friends and colleagues, to have more people that in the future will be there for you, which will be there for you for giving a word of advice, to mentor you at key points of your career, or just to enjoy a little bit more of the IMT fun every now and then. So let me just remind you that the IMT Alumni Association is open both to students and graduated students, because you are a student of IMT only for 3 years, but you are an alumni forever. So hopefully they have given you the forms to subscribe to the Alumni Association, so do it today. Because there is a very interesting program coming out, very nice news. For the next year we are organizing a meeting, a gathering, hopefully of many past PhD students here in Lucca next summer. And well, we're still working on it, but we're trying to secure a public speech from a relevant public figure who will come here and which you will have the opportunity to interact with, because it's all about forming ties and networks. And of course, there will be space for fun as well. So let me just conclude by wishing you the best for your adventure here in Lucca, and welcome alumni of the 34th cycle. Thank you.
We now call the school's director back to the podium for his concluding remarks.
So before you become a little bit, you become bored with me again, I think that all those that who have spoke today, and I have to say especially students and ex-students to whom I wish to express my sincere gratitude for what they have said. I think that what has emerged very clearly are two things. The first one is the sense of belonging that I'm glad to see stays with you, will stay with you and with those already left IMT school forever. And this is, means that probably we did our job here in giving you, in transmitting you also those things that you cannot study in books, but you learn by everyday life. The second thing that is actually what I promised you I would say today in my first appearance on this podium about boundaries. I think the school has clearly demonstrated over all these years that there are no boundaries. No geographic boundaries, no gender boundaries, no sexual orientation boundaries, no religious boundaries, no political ideation boundaries. We have no boundaries. As researchers, as scientists, we know only one boundary, which is the boundary between knowledge and ignorance, and our goal, our task, is to push this boundary further and further as much as we can. Welcome again, and enjoy your stay at the school in Lucca, and enjoy your life. Thank you.